All right, here we go. Last movie in the franchise. Stupidity displayed on screen. The heck? Can't be that bad, right? Oh, it's bad. It's real bad. Welcome back to the Haunted Beard, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Well, we have reached the end of my reviews for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series, and obviously today, I'm here to talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. Let me tell you, this thing is a disaster. There is hardly anything about this that I enjoyed, with the exception of there's a couple decent kills in it, but pretty much everything else I found infuriating. So let's get into it. First off, this movie probably should have been renamed Texas Chainsaw Social Commentary, because the first half hour of the movie, that's really all this movie is trying to do. This movie has the most forced and shoehorned agenda that it just tries to shove down your throat. And look, here's the thing. I don't automatically hate movies that have some sort of political or social commentary to them, but it has to be done in a at least somewhat reserved or subtle way, and it has to be done at least in a thought-provoking way. This movie does it in a way that, it might as well just be beating you over the head with a hammer kind of thing. And it just plays into the most generic versions of all the subjects that it tries to bring up. And it has all sorts of subjects that it brings up. I mean, we're talking like gun control, school shootings, gentrification, capitalism, racism, climate change. And it's like, guys, this is a Texas Chainsaw movie. What are we doing? And none of them are brought up in any sort of interesting way. It's basically just, the movie just uses all that to just say, this is bad, and this is bad, and these things are bad. And it's just low-hanging fruit, the most blatantly obvious, uninteresting way to bring up all these subjects, and it just has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It just feels so forced and unnecessary, and I really hated it. Anyways, we're introduced to our four main characters. They're these young 20-somethings, and the characters here are equally terrible. I mean, we don't really learn anything about any of them. They're all kind of obnoxious and annoying. There's the one girl who I can't even remember her name, but she's the younger sister. She was the victim survivor of a school shooting. She's the only one that's like tolerable. The rest of them are just kind of annoying. But even the girl who's a tolerable character, we don't really learn anything about her other than she had past trauma where she survived a school shooting, which is just, again, another one of those things that just feels so forced into this movie that has nothing to do with anything, really. They come into this little abandoned town in Harlow, Texas, with this very morally superior, holier-than-thou attitude. They just purchased up this whole little town that they are going to auction off and make money and try to turn into a better place or something like that. They end up going into one of the houses, and turns out that there's still a couple people living there. They run into this old woman and Leatherface, unbeknownst to them. So Leatherface and his mom are still in this house. They end up kicking them out by calling the police because the old lady has some sort of health problem, heart attack or something. She gets put into an ambulance and they drive off. And then we get at really the only scene in the movie that I would say I enjoyed, and this is the first kill of one of the police officers by Leatherface in the back of the ambulance, where he snaps the dude's arm and then stabs him in the neck with his own bone. That was a pretty cool kill. I enjoyed it. And I have to admit, I kind of got a little excited at that point to where I was like, okay, maybe we'll at least get some pretty cool kills, because I thought that first kill was pretty cool. But none of the other kills are really all that great or really worth mentioning. And I feel like the majority of this movie I can just kind of skip over. There's just nothing really here that's worth talking about. There's nothing here that's really interesting. Leatherface heads back to the town because he wants to start killing people, especially the main four, because he wants to get revenge for his mom because he thinks they're basically responsible for her death. But then once you get to about the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie, this thing gets to a level of stupidity that is so infuriating. I had to pause it a few times just to, like, take a breath, okay? It drove me insane. So let's start at the bus scene. And the two sisters are the only ones alive still at this point of the main four characters. They get on this bus. They're trying to escape out of town. And the bus driver's trying to turn the bus around to get out. There's only like one way in and out of this little town, I think. And he like bumps into something, so he stops the bus and gets off the bus. And the two sisters who are just escaped Leatherface, they're sitting there and they don't say anything. Like, you know, hey, there's a chainsaw-wielding killer outside. Do not get off the bus. They don't say anything. And then 10 seconds later, this dude's severed head gets thrown onto the bus stairs. And then, of course, Leatherface shows up. And let me tell you, the following scene is so mind-numbingly stupid, I don't even know what else to say. Leatherface enters the bus, soaked in blood, carrying a chainsaw, and everybody just pulls out their cell phones and is like, hey, bro, you're gonna get canceled. It is the dumbest. It's just the dumbest thing. And I couldn't even enjoy the massacre that preceded that because of how stupid that whole scene was. Because now we got to inject cancel culture into this Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, just because, I guess. So I couldn't even enjoy the bus massacre just because I was so irritated with how stupid that scene was. Now, not long after this, Sally, the original survivor from the original film, they bring her back and she shows back up because she has been waiting 50 years for this moment to get her revenge against Leatherface. Sally goes into Leatherface's house, walks up the stairs, opens up the door, and has her shotgun out, drawn. Opens up the door, and there's Leatherface sitting on the bed with his chainsaw on the ground away from him. And she wants to have a conversation with the guy. Hey, shut the heck up and pull the trigger.
When you have to shoot, don't talk.
So not only is that bad enough, she lets him get up and leave out of the room, doesn't shoot him, because he doesn't even remember her name or who she is. And it was at that point, I was out. I had completely checked out. I was done. Leatherface ends up going after the two girls. Sally finally comes out of the house, confronts Leatherface. There's this little fight. She ends up getting impaled on Leatherface's chainsaw and thrown into this big old stack of garbage or whatever. And the two girls, instead of just escaping, they decide they're going to try to run Leatherface over. Only, of course, that totally backfires and they end up getting into this massive car crash. Then the younger sister, who was the school shooting survivor, goes and grabs an assault rifle and tries to shoot Leatherface, only she either forgot to turn the safety off or didn't put ammo in the gun because she pulls the trigger and the gun just goes click. So now Leatherface is attacking her, and right as Leatherface is about to kill her, wouldn't you know, good old Sally Hardesty fires a shot at Leatherface and it allows the girl to get away. And again, it's so infuriatingly stupid because we're talking about Sally, the woman who just got impaled and basically sliced in half by Leatherface's chainsaw, is somehow now still alive and is able to fire a shot to help save this young girl. Then you get the whole final climactic sequence where the two girls fight Leatherface, and this whole scene is just the definition of basic. There's just nothing really here to even talk about. The older sister ends up getting Leatherface's chainsaw and, hits him and he falls back in the water, and we think, oh, it's finally over. They're safe. They survived. Leatherface is finally dead. Then we get the final scene where them two are heading out of town to safety. Only, wouldn't you know, Leatherface pops back up because he's not really dead and pulls the older sister. out of the car, slices her head off, and that's the end. And I mean, it's just laughably stupid. I mean, just, man, this movie, man, it's just terrible. It's just really, really bad. Well, those are my thoughts on Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2022. This, to me, man, it kind of hit a new low. This is, to me, this belongs like in the same category of like Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, and like Halloween Resurrection. It's on that level. It's just all around pretty awful. Man, out of 10, I think I'm gonna be like a 1. I mean, there's just nothing here that I enjoyed, and most of it I actively hated. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Hit me up down below, though. Would love to hear from you. If you like this movie, by the way, I'm seriously happy for you. You know, this is just one knucklehead's opinion, so if you like it, I'm glad that you like it, but I did not. Up next, I'm going to cap off this series of reviews by doing an official ranking video of all 9 movies, so be on the lookout for that. That will be out pretty soon. So, once again, thank you for watching. That's all I got for you. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and do me a favor and do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard.